here's where it stands. The Saints are considered to be the front runner for Derek Carr. They needed to not come to terms on a trade, but show the Raiders that they are at least going to be in the ballpark. Two sides can work it out, and if Carr gives the okay, but at least a significant step today.
The Las Vegas Raiders are about to make a huge trade, and this trade could potentially be the first domino to fall in what I'm expecting to be a wild offseason that I'm really expecting to kick into a higher gear on the morning of the Super Bowl. We're going to bring you guys an update on to everything that's going on, all the craziness. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. We're on a crusade to get to 700,000 subscribers. If you happen to be an NBA fan, I've done extensive NBA trade deadline coverage on my Flight Mike basketball channel. Link to that will be in the end screen. Now that we get all that out of the way, break! Usually when this happens, we all make bank. PrizePicks is hooking us up for the Super Bowl with a free square from Patrick Mahomes, which means Mahomes just needs one passing yard in order for his square to convert. So all you have to do if you want to join is go to the link in the description down below, download PrizePicks, and use my promo code Mikerophone so they can match up to $100 of your deposit. And once you're done with that, make these picks. Obviously, you should go with the Patrick Mahomes 0.5 passing yards and click more. Once you're done with that, one of my sleepers is going to be Kenneth Gainwell, who has been a monster throughout the playoffs for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he just needs to get higher than 21.5 rush yards. So we're going to click more there. And if Kenneth Gainwell gets more than 21.5 rush yards, you could 3x your money. Now, if you feel really good about this, you could also add Travis Kelce scoring 1 touchdown. And if both of these hit, you 5x your money. I play PrizePicks each and every day, and I post my picks to my story on Instagram. So make sure you're following me there if you want to see my picks on a daily basis. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? It's well known amongst many of us, or at least sources in the NFL, that originally the Las Vegas Raiders' plan for a new quarterback was to pursue Tom Brady. And it must have been a huge slap in the face when the Las Vegas Raiders really made a hard pursuit at Tom Brady, and then Tom Brady did a nice little look at the NFL landscape and said,
"Yeah, I don't think I could win a Super Bowl with any team here."
And then retired to posting thirst trap pictures onto his social media in an effort to win his ex-wife back. I don't know. I'm not getting into that. So immediately, Las Vegas Raiders decided to pivot. I mean, they already burned their bridge with Derek Carr. I mean, if you don't believe me, look at what Derek Carr said at the Pro Bowl.
Have you ever been that hot in Las Vegas?
Not that hot. It's probably why I'm going somewhere else.
There's no way you're going to get Derek Carr back at this point. Why not pivot to Davante Adams' ex-teammate? I mean, you already burned your bridge with one of his ex-quarterbacks. Let's go after his most recent ex-quarterback, right? Aaron Rodgers. Well, it seems like Aaron Rodgers is really close to making a decision, but it seems like his decision took a dark turn. Before he could choose what team he wants to play with next, he needed to do what you're supposed to do in these situations, which is confine himself to darkness for 4 days straight.
4 nights of complete darkness.
What?
It's a darkness retreat.
Wow.
And I've had, a number of friends who've done it and had some profound experiences. And
so yes, Aaron Rodgers is going to confine himself in darkness for 4 days, and the response to this was awesome. I mean, I am really thankful to be covering athletes that are as unique as Aaron Rodgers on this channel and Kyrie Irving on my basketball channel. The reaction to this was hysterical, especially this back and forth where Aaron Rodgers actually clapped back at a former Super Bowl champion and a 4-time All-Pro. So check this out. Ari Meirov mentioned how Aaron Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show that he's going on a darkness retreat in a couple of weeks. 4 days, complete darkness, just himself in a little house. I've had a number of friends who've done it and they have had profound experiences, and he expects a decision after that. Well, I already showed you a clip of him explaining this. Why am I showing you this again? Well, Mitchell Schwartz would quote tweet this and say, "Fear that the Packers aren't consulting more with the guy who needs to go on a 4-day darkness retreat to figure out whether he wants to play football." He probably thought Aaron Rodgers wouldn't see this. Oh, he was wrong. He was dead dead wrong. Because Aaron Rodgers would respond to this with the most Aaron Rodgers response I've ever seen, saying, "Be curious, not judgmental. We are all on our own path, and doing things like this helps me find a greater sense of peace and love for life. Love and respect to you, heart, hashtag." Which I'm sure Mitchell Schwartz wasn't expecting that. Side note here, is he just gonna be in darkness for 4 days? Is he gonna just be in complete darkness, no talking, or does he even eat food? Because the only thing I do that's even close to this that drives me absolutely insane, I'm Jewish, so I fast Yom Kippur every year, and that's when you have to go without food or touching your phone or anything electronic for 24 hours, and I lose my damn mind. So that being said, I would really like to know about this darkness fast. Is he just gonna keep going until he says, "Aha, I know what team I want to join"? Is he gonna come out of this saying,
I see nothing but black, so I need to join the Las Vegas Raiders?
I'm probably going to do some more research on this, but if any of my subscribers have ever done this, let me know in the comment section down below. Now, you might be wondering, all right, Mike, so are you insinuating that the Las Vegas Raiders are about to trade for Aaron Rodgers? I mean, maybe. I can't really bring you guys a definitive update on that because there's nothing that's indicating that Aaron Rodgers is going to the Raiders right now. I mean, everybody's saying something different. Aaron Jones says this.
I think he'll be back. I mean, he got 50 million reasons to come back. 50 million.
Carson Palmer says this.
Rodgers follows Hackett to the New York Jets.
I think there's a much better chance of that happening than him wearing that same color green he's been wearing for 16 years.
I happen to agree with Carson Palmer in terms of winning a Super Bowl. I think the Jets make a lot of sense, and he has very close ties with Zach Wilson. But this video isn't necessarily 100% about Aaron Rodgers. The Raiders could trade for Aaron Rodgers, but what is definitely about to happen is the Raiders seem to be very close to moving on from Derek Carr. The Derek Carr situation is a very fascinating one, primarily because the Raiders announced to the world that they're done with Derek Carr 2 weeks before the season ended, presumably so he doesn't get injured and they don't have to pay him more money, because the Las Vegas Raiders are experts at salary cap management at this point. And it gets even crazier. Derek Carr has a no trade clause. Aaron Rodgers doesn't. I found this ironic. Originally, it was thought that any team in this situation that is clearly going to move on from their previous franchise cornerstone would allow the franchise cornerstone to go ahead and look for his new team. This is how hilarious the Raiders front office is. According to Albert Breer, the Las Vegas Raiders in Derek Carr divorce is a little sloppy. At this point, it's pretty clear that Carr's camp would like the freedom to seek a trade, and the Raiders don't see what their benefit would be in doing that, since it would just give Carr knowledge of what will be out there for him in mid-February if he enacts his no trade clause and forces the Raiders to cut him, thus making it harder for Vegas to trade him since Carr would have power to rig the process. Well, you shouldn't have given him a no trade clause. You only give no trade clauses to players that you know are going to be like definitive Hall of Famers someday. I don't mean any disrespect to Derek Carr. There was only like one season where I thought, hey, this guy could be a top 3 quarterback in the league for years and years to come. He's an awesome human, but this contract was given to him way after that. This man signed this contract extension last spring. Don't extend your quarterback 1 year ago and say, hey, we're so confident that this is our guy that we're going to give him a no trade clause, and then 1 year later decide to trade him. But it seems like that's what the Raiders are going to do. Fortunately for the Raiders, it seems like there is a team that is interested in Derek Carr's services, and I think this is a situation that'll make a lot of sense for him. According to Ian Rappaport, Derek Carr visited the New Orleans Saints on Wednesday. So the Saints invited Derek Carr for a visit, and the Raiders have granted permission for that to happen. And is for a visit tomorrow. Carr, who has a no trade clause, is doing due diligence, and no trade is imminent.
Day 2 for the Derek Carr visit to the New Orleans Saints, and soaking it in New Orleans, went to dinner with New Orleans brass along with head coach Dennis Allen last night.
The best way that this was described to me is that this is essentially a date, and this was from Adam Schefter. Derek Carr and the Saints went on a little date to see if they could work well together. Now, bear in mind, the Saints are in cap hell, man. I mean, Michael Thomas has a $60 million cap hit this year. Here's $60 million. It's like 59.4 or 59.7. So the fact that they're willing to take this route is very interesting, and how they want this to work is very interesting. According to Albert Breer and Jeremy Fowler via Dove Kleinman, the asking price to trade for Derek Carr currently is is a third-round pick. While the Saints were given permission to host Carr, they have not agreed to contract terms per Albert Breer. Carr also hasn't agreed to waive his no-trade clause. It doesn't seem like Derek Carr wants to make this easy on the Las Vegas Raiders. I can't necessarily blame him. I mean, I know Raiders fans are like,
Oh, Mike, he stinks. He's not the same player anymore that he was in 2017.
and while I do agree with that, this is a guy that's stuck by your organization through such tumultuous times. I mean, he went through head coach after head coach after head coach. Last season alone should have been enough to give Derek Carr another season with this franchise. Dealing with the Henry Ruggs tragedy, dealing with the Damon Arnett gun incident, dealing with John Gruden's email gate, teaming up with an interim head coach in Rich Bisaccia, and still taking this Raiders team all the way to the playoffs was a remarkable feat in a year that should have been a horrible year for the Raiders. And the fact that he was discarded as such is more than enough reason for Derek Carr to make this way harder on the Raiders. So currently, if a trade was to happen, according to Spotrac, the salary cap stuff that you need to know is the Raiders will take on $5.625 million of dead cap, clearing $29.25 in 2023. The new team would acquire $33 million, which is $32.9 guaranteed in 23, $42 million, which is $7.5 million guaranteed in 24, and $41.3 million in 2025. A trade cannot process until March 15th. Carr once again holds a no trade clause. So it seems like the Raiders are gearing up to make a gigantic trade, and that's the best case scenario for them. I mean, I see a lot of Raiders fans saying, oh, maybe we could get a second round pick for Derek Carr. They hold no leverage in this scenario at all whatsoever, and I don't think Derek Carr is going to make it easy for them to trade him. He could straight up just reject every single trade offer that the Raiders put forth that involve him and keep doing it until they decide to cut him outright, make the Raiders need to deal with all of that salary that is owed to him, and then go and sign with a brand new team for significantly less. Now, at the end of the day, out of all teams that I think is going to trade for Derek Carr, the only team that seems to be trading for Derek Carr so far is the New Orleans Saints. Apparently, he had a meeting with the Carolina Panthers. He canceled that. So it seems like it's just the New Orleans Saints right now. And you know, I give a lot of credit here. I don't think the New Orleans Saints need like a top 5 quarterback to be successful. I think you get a quarterback like Derek Carr, someone that you have to respect in the passing game, at least somewhat. Surround him with players like Chris Olave. Hopefully Mike Thomas gets healthy. You have Alvin Kamara still in that backfield. And then you just lean heavily on the incredibly underrated New Orleans Saints defense to make some plays, and you should be in very good shape. It's pretty much the Denver Broncos model of last year, only you don't have the top ranked defense and the worst ranked offense. So I see the reasoning to this. I don't necessarily know if this is a path to Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to go ahead and just make bold claims like this, but I do know that the Raiders are about to make a huge trade, or they're about to cut Derek Carr for nothing. Let me know in the comment section down below as a Raiders fan, how do you think this is going to shake out? How do you feel about the way they handled this situation? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.